Hello, Cancer. How's everybody doing today? Really great to see you. So many great messages that have been coming through this morning for your sign, and I can't wait to share all of it with you. First of all, let me just introduce myself in case you're new to the channel. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and I'll be looking at Cancer today for the month of March. And the way that you can read this is it can work for sun, rising, and moon. If you know other aspects of your chart, you can use it for that as well. I welcome cross-watching. You can also look on behalf of someone in your life that you love. So this is pretty much an open forum. I know that there's some readers that say you can only come for your sign. I don't think that makes any sense. So welcome, and a little bit about the format, and then we'll get started because there's a lot to talk about today. I'll just go through this quickly, but the way that, I'm going to put down my puppy here. The way that I organize this is the beginning portion is going to be a psychic download, and a lot of great messages coming through for anybody that's in the room. That's the way that this works. So if you ever feel like you need a little bit of guidance, come through for the beginning portion, because if you show up, I typically can tap into the energy. It's specifically kind of geared towards Cancer, but there'll be messages that are really inclusive for whoever's here. Then we're going to go into the Celtic Cross, a look at any high points, challenges, or opportunities that are presenting themselves, and I'll try to help you navigate so you can figure out what makes sense for yourself. And I let that take whatever energy it wants to, and then we'll dig a little deeper into health, wealth, love, and destiny. After that, we will take a look at the soul path, which is usually one or two of the presenting issues that come up as I'm reading the cards, and get a little more clarity on it. And then we'll meditate and bring a little bit of integration into that meditation as I play a singing bowl. So a little bit of everything, as you can see here. Some people, I think I've read this in the comments, they look at the length and they get scared. It's sectioned. So once I go live, there's chapters. You can always look at the chapters and navigate. It's kind of like a book. You can come back and look at different parts if you want to. So I hope it doesn't dissuade you. Stick around if you haven't been here before, and you'll be surprised, I think. Okay. So before I get started, one last thing, just a little bit of how I use Super Chat, some guidance on that. Everything that you see, all the supplies, all the cards that I use, they're a direct result of your support. I wouldn't be here without you. So if you like what you see, I have some channel members here, like Narissa, Toya, Andre, thank you. All the folks that month to month support me here or on Patreon, I appreciate it. You can also show support in a one-off way just by doing a super sticker or super chat. And I don't answer questions, but it does help me continue to buy new supplies. So I do appreciate that. And thanks to everybody month to month. I can't sit here and name all the names. I just saw them in chat who assist. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's get started on the messages coming through right here and right now for your sign. Again, this is going to be for the month of March, but the way that I read this beginning portion is that a lot of times it's relevant to here and now. By the way, thanks to my moderators too. All right, so your messages are as follows. I want to start with the spirit totem. As I was kind of tuning into everything today, I could smell the scent of pine, and I was seeing beautiful trees, even though we've just come through the holiday season. I think that conifers, pine trees, evergreens, whatever you want to call them, they sometimes get overlooked in the tree kingdom, if you will, because I guess they're maybe not as they're not as colorful or not as amazing as some other trees. But when you do a little bit of research on pines or conifers, conifers were like one of the first forms of life on the planet, like 200 or 300 million years ago. Those plants were prevalent on the planet. So when I think of that, I think of age and wisdom, right? So your spirit totem today is the evergreen, which is evergreens include pine trees, and pine trees are part of the conifer kind of kingdom or family. When I look at these, I think of perseverance, the ability to overcome, and the ability to thrive, because the word evergreen was derived from the fact that they don't lose their leaves. Usually they do shed. It's not like the leaves on there are forever on there, but basically during the winter, when a lot of native trees will shed their leaves, the pines are still kind of poking through and synthesizing light, which is amazing. So there's this ability to thrive when other things are not, which is such a powerful message right now. So survival and growth, even amid a period where, like other things are not doing well. This is so amazing to come through for like 2020, 2021, because we're still kind of between the energy of those 2 years. And I think that what we're being driven to do right now is to realize that you can grow and change. It's really about shedding your skin and trying something different, pushing through the snow, if you will, of the sort of symbolic winter that we've all been through, and find a way to grow in the new normal, right? You haven't lost your touch, you haven't lost your power. You just have to kind of shake off the doubt, like it was a level of snow that needs to come off your branches so you can see the light. So I think that when you start to realize you've still got it, you've still got that magic touch, but it just may not be used in the same way that it was before, then it can be fun, it can be creative. And so as we start to get into a different world where the way that we're doing business, the way that we're interacting, the way that we feel, all of that is actually taken almost like a quantum leap. I had a card the other day where that came through, but I feel like we took a quantum leap. A lot of it was inward, right? We had to do a lot of work within, understanding who we are and understanding our capacity to push through all of this stuff. So just know that you have it, and I hope that you can see it. And the evergreen tree there was coming through to say, when the snow melts, look, I'll be the first one that has the green, that's able to kind of like, again, photosynthesize and get everything there, and showing that I survived this. So thank you to that spirit totem. Beautiful image that came through, beautiful message. And yeah, if you do a little research, they're very ancient. It's a very ancient plant life that's on this planet. So, all right, next piece, taking a sort of shift to the right here. What I was seeing was a feeling of someone kind of coming into your energy. And then I was shown some modern sort of technological ways that this could happen, whether it's your phone or computer, or maybe even just your mail, like old-fashioned postal mail. I saw someone going through that. And it felt not good, right? It's a violation when anyone sort of pops into your personal space. So whether this is something that's happened to you or something that you've done or whatever, I think the key thing to focus on this month is space and privacy. With a lot of us working in such close proximity at home, not so much in offices anymore, we can kind of get into each other's energy too much, or you're picking up on things that maybe you don't even need to worry about. So if you have roommates, or if you're living with a partner, if you have a big family, or even just neighbors that are listening into what you're saying, I feel like finding a way to create boundaries and privacy is so important. So that's the next piece of this. Boundaries have to work on both sides. If you think back to, I've lived in places where there's a fence, like back when I was a kid. Both sides have to kind of like respect that fence, right? They have to paint it, they have to keep it up and all of that. So it's the same thing. You have to kind of like respect the boundaries that you're building. I would say, imagine that these actions, the things that you say, the things that you do, they have two effects. One of them is like a boomerang. So when you put positive energy out, positivity comes back. When you put not so positive stuff out there, then you're going to feel a reaction for that as well. And also assume that there's a homing device on what's being done or what's being said. And it will get back to not just the source, but also the person that you might be talking about. So if you've had someone do something not so cool, just realize karma and the sort of reciprocity in energy has a way of balancing out the scales, and let it go, or talk to them and then move on to something else. Because to me, that's a person who isn't deserving of your time and your respect and your energy if they can't respect your own privacy, your own sanctity of what your space is. So I don't know why I had to bring it up for you, but it was very clear to me, especially if, let's just say, like an iPad, a computer, a phone, or some mail is just out on a table. Just because you can look at something or do something doesn't mean you should. And if somebody else did that, the same message should go there. It's just about mutual respect. And we've all had something like that happen, I think, at some point in our life where someone doesn't respect privacy or boundaries. So I think you should be proactive and talk to them and then just move on if that happens. The other thing with just because you can do it doesn't mean you should, I think this follows through on a lot of different parts of your life. So if there's an opportunity in front of you and it doesn't feel good, or if there's something that it's just like a temptation or something, just imagine that it's a test of your willpower. And if you say no to that, something better will come along. So always think of like the ability to upgrade. If something is too good to be true, it probably is. Or if it feels bad to do it, you probably shouldn't. So honor that instinct within, and then just think there's something better. This isn't worth the time and effort. Kind of in a similar energetic realm with this one, I would say it's important to have an even exchange between you and others. This exchange can take so many different forms. It can be time, money, energy, love, service. Basically, whenever you're putting something into something, you should be receiving something back. It's not a selfish thing, it's an exchange. Give and take. Keeps the scales balanced. And if you're thinking more, because we're looking at a water sign here, it's kind of like you want like an even sort of energy. You don't want a really like a big wave that's splashing over you. You need to kind of have calm waters. So if everything's getting pulled to one side, it kind of creates you don't want the rocky boat here, the rocky water. So look at what's going on in your life. Do you feel like you are receiving enough or that you're giving enough? Are you fulfilled? Sometimes, a job title, money, even the place that you're working at, all that stuff can be important. But if it isn't making you feel good at the end of the day, it's just a label. It's just a thing. And if there are people in your life that are constantly tapping into you because you're a healer, because you're a kind person, because you're a teacher, because whatever, there's something about you where you have this gift. That doesn't mean that you always should, or that they always should, like you should always give so much, or they should always take so much. Find a place where there's give and take, because then it's sustainable. It really boils down to sustainability. And then you don't want to create kind of like a cosmic deficit, if you will, between you and the people around you. So mutual respect, mutual exchange, and an even exchange, I think, is super important. So some interesting messages between like privacy and exchange of energy. The exchange of energy can also be if you're not getting paid enough, or if you're not getting promoted enough wherever you're working, or on your path, if you're just not feeling like the growth is there. All of these things come into play. Which also kind of is a nice segue into the next piece. In my mind's eye, I saw a plant that was wilting. And for me, that can be a symbol of fatigue, shock, hunger, or sadness even. And I think that the most important thing that you could do for yourself right now is nurture. Nurture yourself, especially when others are incapable of doing that. Sometimes we've been taught that we're supposed to just keep working really hard, and the harder you work, the better you are. But we are not a machine. That's actually the next piece that I put. Rest. You're not a machine, and even a machine needs maintenance, right? So observe your own limits and be realistic with what you can do, and know that rest is so important. For me to be able to do the readings that I do here. Fun fact, after I do something like this, I usually need to take a nap, maybe for an hour and a half, to recuperate the energy it takes to do this. And then the night before, I need to make sure that I get about 6 to 8 hours minimum of rest. Otherwise, I won't be able to show up and be clear and operate for 90 minutes or whatever. So I have certain requirements. And when I do readings, I can only do a maximum of a certain amount per day. So if I do client readings, 2 to 3. When I do the third one, I'm so tired. I have to go to sleep almost 1 hour after I'm done. You have to take care of yourself. There is an energetic cost for doing this type of work. There's an energetic cost for doing any type of work. So make sure that you are filling up the tank. I know exactly what my limits are, and I respect them. You have to eat enough. You have to sleep enough. You have to exercise enough. Otherwise, you can't. Your channel basically deteriorates, right? So honor and know the limits. That's a reason why I don't do every single day. I know that there's a lot of readers that do it every day. I need at least a couple of days off to just kind of like regroup and figure things out. So I think that it's important to honor those limits. Or maybe if you'll find a way to pace yourself. There's gonna have to be something somewhere that gives. So as a mom, it's hard, or dad, because you have to be on all the time. Make sure that you're carving out a little bit of time, if you're a parent, to meditate, to read, to watch TV, to be together as a couple when the kids are sleeping. Like, you need all of that time. Otherwise, again, the relationship can deteriorate. If you are single and you don't have anyone in your life and you're kind of trying to keep all these things going, make sure that you can lean on people in your life, that you take time to go to the doctor, pay your electricity bill, all of that stuff. And I say that and it sounds funny, but I remember back when it was like almost 15 years ago or something, I was working with someone that was high up, and they were so busy that they forgot to pick up a child from school, and their electricity got turned off because they were so busy trying to make a deadline that they were letting their personal life go. It's never worth that. It's never worth that. Always take care of yourself a little bit. You can't wilt. You have to stay strong, like the evergreen, to kind of push up, right? Express your needs and desires. You can't bottle things up. That's another reason a plant can wilt, is it can be root bound, right? So you'd have to give it room to let its roots grow, or put it in the earth, because sometimes it's not meant to be in a pot. Certain plants need to be in the ground. So find a place where you can spread your wings or ground yourself. And this grounding piece is super important. I actually feel, on a spiritual level, specifically 2020, it was a year of grounding. We were grounded. We couldn't fly. We couldn't travel interstate. We still can't do a lot of traveling internationally and all of that. So the universe is almost saying, stay still. Don't get impatient. Figure everything out. Figure out why you're triggered. And then, and only then, when you no longer kind of feel that sense of being triggered, are you okay? So focus on really understanding who you are, what you want, what's kind of made you get to this point in time, and what you want to do about it. And grounding yourself can also be finding something that you really, really care about and focusing on that, not letting the little stuff get in your way, right? So some powerful messages coming through. Lots of plant imagery coming through today as well. Maybe next month I'll bring back my plant deck that I have as well, because I think it's amazing to look at plants as symbols as well. All right. This next one was really interesting and kind of fun, and I think that's why I chose to close on this one. The next thing that I saw was a roller coaster, and the person on the roller coaster was like covering their eyes, but it was covered they were covering it the whole ride. So yes, of course, you can block out some of the bad stuff or the scary things, but you're going to miss the good stuff too. This is a metaphor for life. If you are constantly kind of closing your eyes, you're missing what's in front of you, right? So we can't live in fear, especially right now. Yes, we are in a pandemic. Yes, we can do things to protect ourselves. And that's all documented. We're not getting into all of that here and now. But there are other things that you want to focus on: personal development, growth, and not being afraid of what tomorrow or next year may bring. We have to hold out a candle of hope for the future, for the possibilities that await all of us. So I think that keeping your eyes, ears, and heart open, is what I wrote on that card, is so important, so that you don't miss something beautiful along the way. Can't only fixate or focus on some of the scary stuff. It's there, it's real. But we also have to look at where the potential is to kind of be the evergreen energy that I talked about here at the beginning, knowing that you can persevere, overcome, and thrive. And that's what's going to happen for those of you that are working hard and figuring it out. So I'm going to stack up all of these index cards. We'll go through them at the midpoint. I'll hold them up and you can read them a little bit easier. But I want to get into the reading and talk about, I know what all of you are interested in. What's March bringing for me? What's coming through? So just a quick reminder at this point that I'll remain quiet while I lay out all of the cards. But afterwards, we'll look at the messages in each and every one and break it down, okay? I don't necessarily make any part of this look at like love or career or anything. When we go into the expanded forecast, it will. So let's just see what the main messages are, and I'll be back in just a second. We have the conifer right there. All right, everyone. Beautiful messages. Well, there's some heavy messages, but some beautiful ones here too. You did get a lot of major arcana cards that I'm seeing here, like Justice, the Hangman, the Tower, the Devil. But the placements are interesting, so we'll talk about it and we'll break it down card by card. First thing that I'd like to talk about is the catalyst. And the catalyst today is about being at that sort of precipice, the threshold here. What I'm seeing here is that you're able to push through things more than you maybe are giving yourself credit for. So this is about understanding and respecting your own boundaries when it comes to when is enough, right? So I think this is true, especially when you work somewhere and they're pushing and pushing and pushing you. Like I was talking about, that one person pushed themselves too much, but a lot of times we put ourselves in a relationship or a work situation or a life situation where it just feels like we're constantly just too close to the edge. So I would say honor what you know is your sort of stopping point or the point of no return. There are other parts of your life where you're very close to a breakthrough, because I can look at this both ways. I see this beautiful solar plexus energy, and it's like first, second, and third chakra energy that want to come through. And a lot of the colors in the deck today are, orange, yellow, red. So we're looking at a lot of lower chakras that we're going to work. I'm going to help you work through today. So I think that it's important to get into that energy of power, passion, and expression. So for some of you, if you just push a little bit more in other aspects of your life where you feel like, I don't know if I can do it, that's a good place to push. When it's like, if I try this and surprise myself, like if you're a singer and you're trying to reach a note and all of a sudden you open up your throat and your vocal cords working just the right way and you hit that note. Or if you're writing and you keep writing and writing and all of a sudden you figure out how to make it happen. Or if you're trying to solve a math equation and you just kind of figure everything out. You have to sometimes push. Those are areas where it's good because you are challenging yourself. But if other people are pushing you to the point of exhaustion or no return, that's when you want to draw that line in the sand and say, no, I need some time. I need some space. Okay. So understand the push and pull energy of the threshold, when you should push and when you should come back and rest a little bit. Okay. Good message. Very much in line with what we were talking about earlier. Your center card is the Knight of Swords, and the Knight of Swords is a very proactive card. It's about taking action, and we can actually see this. It almost looks like this knight is cutting through the clouds and allowing the sun to come out. Can you see that? Really cool illustration. So this is cutting through the baloney when it comes to things. So if there's people in your life that are saying something and it doesn't make sense, you could just say, I hear what you're saying, but I think that we're really dancing around the point, which is this. It's really being straightforward. The card wasn't reversed, so I think you can do it in a non-confrontational way. But this is really about being as real and realistic as possible. And you need to sometimes take the action and make the difference and cut through some of the bureaucracy, some of the garbage, some of the talk, and get to the light of the matter, or to the heart of the matter. Okay, so I really like this. And this is also saying that you can do it. You should do it if you want to, because sometimes you are that best person to make the change happen. It's a great card for starting something new. By the time March hits, we'll be out of the retrograde. During the retrograde, you want to be a little bit more careful and probably plan. So, but again, by the time that this reading is kind of effective for in March, I would say you would be fine with starting something new. So get all of the groundwork, if you're watching this in February, laid out in front of you. And then in March, hit the ground running is what I see. Okay, so plan now, and then no excuses, start the action in March. We have Justice, and it's crossing that card. So it's the elevated version of it, which would just say, for some of you, you're at the deciding point. You haven't necessarily arrived at the decision. You are weighing all of the facts. And it's interesting because I was talking about evening the scales a lot and all of that. And I was wondering, why am I talking about justice? And that's why. Because for some of you, you need to sort of create the pro and con lists in your head, or you need to feel it out energetically and think, I don't know, does this feel right or does this feel right? I think that part of this is going to be involving you asking some tough questions of yourself and others, and then seeing where it sits with you. This is an interrogator or like a journalist. You need to do a little research. You need to ask. You need to talk. you need to listen as well, but it's an active card. So if you don't want to be active, the center is saying, unfortunately, that's necessary. Push yourself. This is one of the thresholds that you want to push. Push yourself to be a little bit more outspoken. You're going to thank yourself and hopefully me later for doing that extra little piece. And then the cool thing with justice is once you've listened to yourself and weighed everything out, there's this sense of relief once you make the decision. So I think making your mind up, figuring out what matters is the most important thing that you can do prior to March. And then hopefully by the time the first week of March hits, you're ready to go. So I hope you're listening to this early. That's why I do these readings in advance. Plan things out, research, and get yourself into a place where you feel really confident and comfortable about what's coming next. All right, let's look at deep past for you. We have the King of Pentacles here. And the King of Pentacles is a great card to have anywhere in your spread, especially if he's upright, because that's showing that you have the capacity. It's like the Midas touch card, right? You have the capacity to bring things into a fruitful state. Both the King and the Queen of Pentacles are very fertile cards. So it's telling me that if you breathe some time, some energy, some life into something, if it was wilting, you would see it all of a sudden start to flourish. That includes yourself. The card wasn't reversed, but you can still decide to invest in yourself. This card shows abundance. So if you're in a place in your life right now where you're not feeling that abundance, this is a reminder that you have the capacity to do it again, or you have the capacity to do it full stop if you haven't had that in the past. But this is just telling me you have all the requisite pieces for success. So go for it, okay? Really nothing negative with this since he wasn't reversed. So I wanna stay positive. There's some heavier cards here, and I think that this is reminding you that you've got what it takes. The Five of Swords can sometimes be an argument that's not worth having. So we see here being put in the middle. So this person in the background, a little kid, is sitting there thinking, how am I going to deal with this? I can't really help. This person isn't feeling listened to. They're feeling talked to. And this person isn't doing a good job of listening and also reading the room, literally reading the room. So my advice for you this month when you're having a conversation, if it's difficult or even if you think it's not, take a temperature check and read the room and see how and where people are. It's harder when they're on Zoom, right? But you can start off with a little bit of an icebreaker, just talk to people and say, how's everyone doing? What's going on with you? Check in first before you start business. And this is even true for those of you that are retired or single or unemployed. When I'm talking about this, you can still put this, we see a domestic conversation here. It's not really business. So before you quote unquote get to the business of the matter, you have to get to the heart of the matter first and see how are people feeling? Are they ready to receive what you're trying to initiate? And I think so. I think that that's the most important thing here. Because she doesn't want to hear it, he doesn't feel heard, and he's not listening. So there's a breakdown in communication. So this particular Five of Swords is fixable by letting everybody feel like they're a part of the conversation, okay? It's hard sometimes. Sometimes when you get to this point, it's already too late, right? Because people have this built up energy. I was talking about feeling like you've got the bottle on, kind of sealed on things. This is what's happened here. There's this pressure cooker, or there's a depression of energy here where this person feels like they don't even have a voice. So we're seeing symbols, but you don't have to have a domestic situation. It can be, again, roommates or coworkers or friends where the dynamics, the exchange is off. Someone's kind of taking center stage and it's exhausting. So everyone needs their turn and take a little time off. I think this is one where some space will heal it. The timing doesn't seem right now. So find a better time to talk, ask the person if they're ready for the conversation, etc. For yourself, if there's none of this going on in your life, the Five of Swords can also just be, both the 5 and the 7 can be a matter of cutting losses and looking at things and just figuring out like, what do I want to fight for? What's worth my time and energy? So, maybe trying to get a lower insurance rate, that's worth your time and energy. Trying to prove you're right about something that someone doesn't want to hear, probably not. If it's just sort of an opinion-based thing, that would be something you can let go. If it's something that's going to benefit you in a resource or financial way or mental health way, then yes, you need to talk about that. So just figure out what's the gain, what's the cost. We have the Hangman, but it's reversed, which is good. There are a couple things to note, though, with this. First of all, this is one of the most beautiful hangmans. Normally, the hangman would look like this. It's a nod to Norse mythology. I think it's Odin, right? Lost an eye, hung up upside down on the tree to gain insight. So the note on this one is that there's a pause that's necessary. And through the pause, we gain insight. Just like the hermit would hold the lantern. In this one, we kind of see the star coming through in the heart space. Like it's kind of like you understand who you are. And that's what I was talking about with grounding yourself. This is very close to what you would see with Trikonasa pose, right, in yoga, where you basically balance one leg against the other leg and you stand up. And we see a tree here. It's so perfect the way that kind of looks. So I would say still focus on grounding yourself before you move to the next thing. It feels like you've done most of the work, but with the hangman reverse, there can sometimes be a little bit of impatience at that final step. So don't kind of get ahead of yourself. Just make sure that you have all of the facts and the information and you're ready to move forward. If you've waited this long, you can wait like a week or two more. And that's basically what this card is saying. Don't rush at the last minute. We have the Tower in the near future. So since you're getting this ahead of time, I would say this is a mutable or an avoidable even event. The Tower doesn't have to be bad. The Tower can be a move. It can be a change. It can be a shift. The Hanged Man and the Tower next to each other are showing me that if you act too quickly, or maybe if you've dragged your feet too much in the past, this is the result of that. On the bright side, though, there could just be a decision in your own mind that you want to move on. And if we look at this person, look at how this person didn't fall from the tower. They're riding one of the birds, like one of the eagles, away. And the other person up there, it's a very meditative tower. To me, it feels like this person is calling in the change. And this person decided to ride the wave of change. There's no destruction in this particular tower. There might be a decision to rebuild, but it's not one of the scarier towers that I've seen. So look at aspects of your life and decide where enough is enough. Where are you ready to try something new? And you really want to honor this. There might be something where you just feel like, I can't do this anymore. Or it's now finally time to, turn the switch on and do X, Y, or Z. So I feel like this is just the decision point. This creates this. And it does. And that's why you're holding up on it a little bit. That's why we have Justice and the Hanged Man before this, because it's a big decision. So I'm not freaked out by this arrangement. Justice is also touching the tower. I think if we were to just pull the camera down for a second, one thing to focus on with this particular, just the cross itself, is it feels to me like there is you're feeling like you have to defend your decision. We have what can be a very paternal energy here or a very family energy, because we actually see the King and the Queen of Pentacles. And then we saw a very sort of domestic energy here. So there could be an environmental, a family or kind of community energy that's trying to push you in another direction. And you're like, no, I know I've got to do this. I've given myself time to think about it, the Hanged Man. I've weighed the decision and I want to make this change happen. So you may be intentionally deciding to start anew. Good for you. That's okay. There's always going to be people asking you, are you sure? Have you thought about this? What about me? But in that case, it's really a projection from this person. It's not about you. So you could say, I understand that this could make you feel uncomfortable, etc. But you could remind them, say, this is my life. This is my decision. This is something that I feel passionate about. And thank you. Thank you for sharing your perspective on this. But this is where I stand, right? Okay. So I laughed a little bit when I saw this. This is the 10 of Cups. We have the pine tree right there, right? The conifer, Christmas tree. The 10 of Cups can show family. It can show love. It can also show community, all those things that I was just talking about. The reversal of this card can show that these sort of energies around you are pulling at you. And for some of you, you might feel like you're just being pulled in too many directions and you can't stretch in all those directions without snapping, right? And the snapping could be a verbal snap. It could also be a decision like, I just can't do this anymore. So deciding to break free or break down or break away from something. So sometimes too much is too much love, too much attention, too much people kind of trying to get at your time and space. It just feels like you need a little bit of privacy. That's why I was seeing that earlier. The other thing is, you know what? This has been an interesting year when it comes to families. And you might be feeling like an outsider right now with your family because they just don't understand who you are, right? They don't understand your point of view. And as a spiritual person, it gets difficult sometimes because you can't always share all of that with the family too. So understanding that you don't have to make all of these people happy. that you are basically the star, by the way, in this tree, and you are strong like the evergreen. You are the tree. And this group of people around you, they'll come, they'll go. There will be time to go back to them if you need to, but right now it feels like the focus is on you. A lot of times when I see an inverted or reverse card, it's showing the sort of introspective work that needs to be done. It's time to receive. And if you can't get that reciprocated energy from your friends, your family, your roommate, your coworkers, etc., then that's why this card is coming through. It's going to go in and shake the tree a little bit and say, no, this isn't good anymore. There has to be a better way to do it, right? A very positive aspect of the Ten of Cups could be that, there's a lot of opportunities in front of you, and there could be a difficult decision at hand. So if you've been looking and looking and looking for work, there might be a couple of opportunities that come through. If you've been single for a long time, there could be a couple of love interests that you might have to decide between. But I see this more as like pressure, the way that it's illustrated and the way that it's kind of falling in order here. So I would just say, don't feel pressured to do anything. Even like an arrangement, this can be like an arranged date or marriage. If you don't feel it, you need to speak up and get other options, So whatever the arrangement or the pressure is, it feels like you're not ready just yet. You need some time and space. The good news is, as we look in the environment, it feels like you've got an idea, a great idea, actually. The Ace of Wands. This is a beautiful Ace of Wands because you can see the sprouts coming through, the flowers, all of that. So put some time and energy into developing something that you care about. A new business, a new idea, yourself. If there is a new relationship coming through, this actually portends good things. It shows a strong physical connection. But what I'm seeing with the Ten of Cups is maybe you find the strong attraction to someone, but the family doesn't accept you, right? Or there's a lot of changes going on in your life and the other person's life, like the timing is off. So that's why the Hanged Man was saying, don't overdo it. Don't do too much too fast. Changing your job, changing your location, getting married, doing all this stuff at once, like one thing at a time. Just don't let the chariot get ahead of the horse here. Or in this case, we have like Griffin or something, but basically one thing at a time. The chariot here is about staying in control. And this particular chariot is also showing like knowing where you're going. We see the archer, right? Having aim, keeping focus on what it is, having that Two of Wands energy, even in the chariot, and you'll be okay. Got to keep your eyes open. This is the roller coaster. Imagine trying to drive your car or your chariot blindfolded. Don't. That's not a good thing. I actually watched a movie on Netflix last year. I'm sure some of you saw it. I think it's called Bird Box or something, where they had to paint the car black and use the GPS because of monsters or whatever. But in real life, we can't do that. We can't black everything out. We have to look at the good and the bad and focus on what we can do. The more you know, the more prepared you are, the less you are afraid, the more you are in power or in control. Okay? So you have to keep your eyes open if you're driving. Otherwise it's this. So your final card is about liberation. So the devil gets a bad rap sometimes in tarot. It's coming through to help you. It's not like, oh my God. The reverse devil is a liberation card. So you really want to look at relationships in your life that might feel like they're holding you down or holding you back, and cut through those. Release yourself from that. It's also about a contract that you want to avoid. So if there's something, like I said, that seems too good to be true or at the onset isn't good enough, don't sign that contract. Go through it and cut through the garbage, just like we saw with the Knight of Swords. You have the power to create change here. The Tower is a revisionist card, if I've ever seen it. If you're an artist of any nature, this is about going back to the drawing board. And the interesting thing here, we're seeing a lot of lightning here in this particular, or a lot of like energy with the clouds and everything. So this is the revision. This is the effect. It didn't destroy the tower. Some people decide to bail ship. The people that are going to stick around are going to stick around. And as we look at, you have to do what's right, even if it doesn't feel right, or even if it doesn't sit well with everyone. If it feels right and you know it's right, you've got to do it. And then this thing goes away. The devil, for me, usually is just like chains, conditions, or situations that bind you. So don't get yourself in that situation. If you're looking for love this month, be careful. The devil card can show the timing thing that I was talking about, where that other person may not have the stability you're looking for. They may be between jobs. They may not have a house. They may not be out of their relationship completely. Look at availability if you're single and looking. If you're single and happy, this has more to do with contracts. If you're dating, if you're in a long-term relationship where you've been dating for a while, the Devil card comes through when we're looking at codependencies, addictions, and also matters of commitment. So if you've been dating someone for 10 years and they're not willing to commit, there's a bigger thing at stake here. And you have to ask yourself, what is the fear over this? Is it that I'm not enough? Is it the fear of being tied down? Why are we not kind of connecting and going to the next level? So the Devil is requiring you to be discerning, to be outspoken, and not to just sort of nod and follow through. You absolutely can and should say, what are you talking about? Why are you here? I don't agree with this. The Devil is wanting you to challenge it and to dismiss it, okay? So that's why it comes through in tarot. It's good that you've got some major cards. Just to recap the ones that I saw: Justice, arriving at a decision; Hanged Man, patience, don't act too quickly. Also, don't let the window close. If there's something you have to do, it's kind of that threshold, figuring out how long is long enough and how long is too long. So that's something you're going to have to look at. The Tower, I think a revision and a change is necessary and healthy, because it will reverse the Devil energy in your life. So overall, it's good. You got a lot of majors. You got a couple that I know can sometimes make you take pause, but ending on a reverse Devil isn't the worst thing in the world. So there you go. Okay. If you do meet someone that is perhaps a Capricorn, Earth sign, something like that, there could be someone in your life that you meet that's just not capable of giving you what you want to. They're too self-absorbed. Because if I got the King of Pentacles reversed or the Devil reversed, there's a big focus on ego and power. And so that's another thing to be careful of, especially if you find a really cool job that you want to go to. Figure out who's in charge, figure out what's going on there, just to make sure that that reciprocity that I talked about is present, okay? All right, let's go into the expanded forecast. I'm going to start with the health card. The health card, as I've started reading over the past couple of years, is not just your body. I'll look at the body in a second, but this is going to be more energy and emotions. We have trust. This particular deck also is a loose interpretation of the major arcana, some of them. So this is the Fool as well, because it's 0 and it has the same energy as the Fool. So what I would say with this is trust what feels right, trust yourself, and take that leap of faith. That's important for you. Spread your wings, having freedom. For some of you, that contract that you saw, that opportunity, the Devil energy, will push you to the Fool, which is, I need to do this on my own. I need space. I have to try it myself. So this is liberation. This is what liberation looks like and feels like. So if you're ready for it, go for it. If you're not, figure out what's holding you back from taking that first step. And that's why we were looking at the Knight of Swords earlier, to figure out. Research often helps. Talking to someone will help. And then sometimes if you are really a literal or a visual person, making a list and kind of practically looking at the pros and the cons of staying or going. I think that could be advantageous. Looking at the cards, I actually see a really positive thing that could happen this month. This is about breaking a cycle. The Tower and the Devil reversed. This is going to actually overcome this energy. So if there's something that you don't like in your life, if there's someone that you don't like, whatever it is, it feels like you can break through. This is a breakthrough card. So this is your month to do that if you want to. So if you want to make a change, getting over a habit, an addiction, a toxic relationship or environment, the Tower and the Devil work together to destroy that, and in a good way. And the whole purpose of March for you is balance and fairness and justice, basically. So do what you need to do to set things right. And I think that'll put you in a good place, actually. Moderation, definitely important with the 10 of Cups in reverse. Everything in moderation, I think, is key. All of that being said, when you give yourself time to rest, when you make some of these changes that you need to do, etc., you're going to get some great ideas. So I see like a renaissance towards the end of the month if you follow through on some of these other pieces, which is good. All right, let's move along to wealth. We have the Horse King here, which is assistance and control. Guess what? It's the Chariot. So when it comes to figuring out what to do, you're going to probably need to take the initiative when it comes to your money, your work, anything with even like personal development, etc. And we only see like one creature here that I can, well, maybe there's a second one. It's hard to tell if that's a shadow or another one, but what I'm seeing here is that there could also be someone that could help you out, but you're going to have to seek out that assistance. You're still taking the initiative, and then you have to walk the line between who's in control and how you can lean on that other person. Just because you have help doesn't mean that you're not controlling it. When you look at any successful company, it's more than one person usually. You need to figure out how to lead and how to inspire leaders around you, and then I think you're in your power place. Looking at money matters, talk to people in your life about money, right? Talk about where you're standing with your savings, your retirement, your debt. Be real with that. Good relationships will weather any storm, and you can talk about the stuff that's kind of uncomfortable. You should be equally participating in this. So, if your partner typically handles all the bills and ledgers and taxes, I would encourage you to get educated on that and talk to them just to make sure that the decisions being made are benefiting both of you, and that, 5, 10, 20 years down the line, you're not wondering what's going on. For yourself, if you're single or if you're managing your own business, this is also about getting real and just looking at those numbers and figuring out where you stand. Okay. Taking control, taking accountability. And for some of you, that's going to inspire you to move on. Not a bad thing. Because I think really this is empowerment for some of you. So if you figure out that you can do it better and you want to do it on your own, you can. Otherwise, you're going to have to work to create some of those changes. Let's look at love and relationships. It says, embrace your emotions, don't push down your feelings or judge your emotions. Interesting, since we had justice at the center. We didn't get judgment, we got justice, which is just to kind of feel your feelings and to kind of weigh out where you're at. As I'm looking at this too, it's kind of like an inner child on that unicorn. So I think that for some of you, going back to old wounds, old scars, things from the past, making sure that you've resolved that's going to be really important. And you can't hide, you can't bottle things up. Finding an outlet or a channel, whether it's dance, music, exercise, yoga, writing, whatever, figure it out. I think that's so important for you right now, is to find a way to exorcise all of that stuff, to get it out of your energy. And that'll be important. The partner, if you have one in your life that's around you, should also be able to embrace that. I saw the roller coaster for a reason. It's a symbol that comes to me now and then. It's not the first time I've seen it in readings, but it's about highs and lows. So we want to avoid the 9 or the 10 of cups reverse, which is what I got, which can be punctuated highs and lows. So knowing that it's a little scary as you're starting to climb, and it's a little scary as you're starting to fall, but there's some fun stuff in between. You got to focus more on the in-between stuff, and I think that's going to be key. So don't go too fast, too heavy, or don't take too much on or give too much to someone else. It's really about balance. Commitment may be difficult this month if you're looking at love with the Devil card. I think taking your time there is going to be important, and figuring out maybe why it's taken so long or why you have some doubts. Might be coming from a good place. I'm not really seeing, you could look at the Justice card, it could be a Libra. You could look at the Devil card, it could be a Capricorn. But I'm not really seeing people coming through so much in your love life this month. I really think it's about finding personal balance. If this doesn't happen, it doesn't matter who's coming in. It's not going to last. The Tower card will take over. So I think it's very, very, very important, because you need to really just focus on that reciprocity and that balance, and the internal balance first. Okay. So I would say take it slowly and really focus on work, personal health, limits, all the things that we were talking about in the channel messages. I think that's the key thing. And then in existing relationships, going to that energy of like the strings attached that might be there with the Devil, and cutting that so that you can have more liberation, more freedom, more space. We have a card that's reversed, but it's kind of beautiful. And we have an angel here. So I feel like you can land on your feet no matter what. It says afterglow, and it says land gracefully. The interesting thing is, when we look at that reversed, and then we kind of look at the tower, notice how this person, like I said, they don't have to fall from the tower. They can fly. You can decide to, if you see a building falling apart, you don't have to stay there and watch it fall. And I think that this person probably just decided to get out, get out while they could. And so if you see the writing on the wall, if you feel like it's time for something to change, make the change happen. Spread your wings. Don't get to the point where you have to try to like loop around a few times and land on your feet here. So this is really about being a little bit more proactive and listening to your intuitive downloads. Because typically when a tower event happens, there are warning signs, like months, years, decades before it happens. There's never just a surprise usually with that. There's something that came through where this is coming through to help you make the change that you should have made earlier. So make the change and then focus on, it's going to feel really good once that change has sort of set in. It's the scary part is just the initial piece, right? So that initial decision. Justice and judgment can be very heavy cards because you feel the weight of the decision, right? If I do this, then this happens. And I'm the only one that can make this decision. And, unfortunately or fortunately, that's one of the magical things about living on this planet at any given time is free will, right? And that's why I think souls keep coming back to reincarnate here. So let's quickly review the messages, and then we're going to go a little bit deeper. And we have plenty of places that we can look at today. I think I will go into those major cards, the change card, the deciding card, the devil card. We'll look at all of that stuff here in just a second. So if you just joined, this is a great point because I'm going to talk about channeled messages. Your spirit totem this month, the thing that's representing you is the evergreen tree. Evergreens, I should say, there's a lot of different things that would be constitute an evergreen. One of the most common known ones is the pine cone. All of them are part of a plant kingdom called conifers. They, to me, represent perseverance, the ability to overcome the odds, the ability to thrive when a lot of things don't, because you can walk in a forest and all the trees are barren except these beautiful evergreens. So they're constantly kind of showing life and light. And I think they're great at survival and evolution because they've been here 200 or 300 million years. So definitely something that shows longevity. And it's a reminder that you can weather any storm, and you can actually even thrive when other people are feeling weighted down by the energy of winter or that storm, right? You haven't lost your magical touch. Shake off the dust or the doubt or the snow or whatever you want to use as the metaphor, because that evergreen energy is underneath it. And that's really what the tree was showing us. Privacy is so important right now because I feel like some of us just need space. We've been sharing too many walls with other people, and sometimes that can even lead to people invading your privacy. So you might have to reset some of those boundaries, create your boundaries, observe others as well, and remind people in your life that just because they can do something that they shouldn't, that, you have to really think it through. And also remember that everything that you do has a reciprocating effect. So it's kind of like a boomerang or a homing device at once. It comes back to you, and it also goes to the source or to the person that you might be talking about. So elevate and use it for love, use it for motivation, for elevation, and I think that's going to be really key. Even out the energetic exchange. If there is someone that's doing too much or too little, have just a heart-to-heart conversation and get that exchange evened out. And if it's a thing that's consistent and never kind of goes in the right direction, then this is also time for you to decide like enough is enough with that. There's so many ways that you can even out the exchange. It's not just money. It can be through time, service, love, all of that, listening, just holding space, but there has to be some sort of an evening out. You want to also look internally and think, what I'm receiving enough or kind of like deserving of? So if you're working really, really hard and you make the money, but you're not feeling like you get the respect, or you're not feeling like the time spent is worth it, you have to look at all the different aspects of balancing things out and make sure that it feels right for you. The wilting flower that I saw can indicate that you could just do better self-care, whether it's dealing with fatigue, shock. A lot of us are dealing with the shock of all the stuff that's been going on in the world right now, or hunger, or feeling like, you're sad. There's something that needs to happen. So this internal nurturing is ever so important right now. And you have to do it even when other people won't. At the end of our days, like, we have to take care of ourselves because you're probably going to outlive parents. You're probably going to, at some point, be the one that you have to lean on. So this is reminding you to find that strength now. Rest, so important. If you don't, your creativity, your productivity, and also just your general health will wilt, just like that flower that we saw. Even a machine needs a break and needs maintenance. You're not that kind of machine. There's a cool song by, I can't think of, Fiona Apple, Extraordinary Machine. Yes, our bodies are extraordinary machines, but they have limits. All things have limits. All right. Express your needs and desires. You can't bottle it up. That's another thing that can cause that wilting, or you can't kind of feel like you're bound in one place or space too much. That's why a root bound plant can do the same thing. Ground yourself. I think that a lot of what we've been going through over the past couple of years was an effort for the universe to really help us find our grounding or our place. Once you've done that, then everything else is going to fall into place. So the roller coaster image that I saw with the person holding their eyes shut or closing their eyes, you may miss some of the bad stuff, but you'll miss some of the good stuff too, and you don't want to miss out on that. You have to stay aware and awake, and it's like the chariot that we saw here. You don't want to have someone that's blindfolded driving your car. It would be really scary. Same thing in your life. You have to be awake and aware of what's going on. Knowing how, when, where, and if to push the limits, really, really important with the threshold. There are places where it makes sense. There are places where it doesn't. I talked about, athletes and musicians. You know exactly how far your body will go or how far you can push, and you have to stop at a certain point. But sometimes you have a breakthrough and all of a sudden things are great. If people are pushing you though to that precipice and you feel like you're going to fall over the cliff, then stop by all means. Because the Fool card and the Tower are really reminding you of that cliff. This is the fall. Sometimes you're not looking where you're going with the Fool card. So you don't want to just kind of keep pushing and hope for the best. There is a point of no return. The Knight card is really inspiring, actually. It shows that you have the ability through actions and words to make a positive change happen in your life. So go for that, okay? We have the Justice card here, which is showing you arriving at that decision that you need to make. I encourage you to, feel it out. I think the important thing with justice is it should feel right. Don't let fear come in between what's right and wrong, but at a certain point, it should be clear to you what you need to do. The sooner you can make this decision, the easier March will be. And if there's no decision at hand, this is really just about the balancing of energy, time, resources, etc. You have what it takes. We have that with the King of Pentacles here in the past, reminding you that you can go through any change, any sort of cycle in your life with success. The Five of Swords, a beautifully illustrated one, is really saying to read the room, take a temperature check, make sure that everybody's being seen and heard. Otherwise, it's just talking down or talking to someone. You can't condescend. Be condescended to. The Hanged Man is saying patience. You'll know when the time is right. Act when that time is right. The change that you're making seems to be one that you've decided to do. So sometimes it can be really exhilarating to go through a Justice/Tower moment where you wantingly go through that. This can be like deciding to move to another country, deciding to leave your job, deciding to go back to school, deciding to do something big that will, without a doubt, affect the rest of your life. It's fun. We should all have those sorts of moments sometimes. You shouldn't be pressured by others to make it or to do something that you don't want to do. Avoid group pressure there. Make sure that you're giving yourself time and space, and realize that a lot of people are drawn to you because you are that pine tree in the background, right? You are the star, basically. And they know that you can take it. But if you need a break, ask for it. The Ace of Wands is a great idea, and there's something that's worthy of your time and energy. Make sure you're investing in yourself. The Chariot is saying also take control over this. The Chariot and the Knight are not passive cards at all. And the reason that you're getting more active and outspoken is so that you can overcome the energy of the Devil card here. So you want to avoid contracts that are either too good to be true or not good enough. You need to make sure that it's balanced on both sides. And you want to look at commitment and fears over commitment, not just like, a relationship, but anything like a lease to a, apartment or a mortgage. If something you just don't want to do it, don't do it. Wait it out until you find the right connection. Liberation is really what's coming through emotionally this month, but the other piece is you can break a cycle or make a really positive change in your life. It all boils down to, are you ready? Anytime you want to give up something scary, you have to decide that the sacrifice is worth it, and not feeling what you felt when you were engaging with that. It's worth it, especially if it's like an addiction or a habit. Moderation to that sort of effect is really important as well. Meditation, actually the Hanged Man is a perfect card for meditating and yoga. So doing something low impact, but having a really high return is going to be important as well. When we look at wealth and money, it's basically another Chariot here, but it's saying you might have to ask for assistance or take control over something. So looking at understanding that asking for help doesn't make you weak. Delegating doesn't make you weak. And asking to be back in the sort of at the table when it comes to these decisions is definitely a sign of strength. So I think just figuring out how and where to spend your time and energy, because these chariots are kind of tempered by the scales of justice. When we look at love, there's this embrace energy that's coming through for relationships. Is your partner really celebrating all that you are, the good and the not so good? Are you doing the same? Do you feel an imbalance when it comes to the relationships in your life? Because I feel like that's the most important thing that you need to focus on. You need to be enough for yourself. You and your friends, partners, and family need to kind of sort out your relationships. And then I feel like once that's done, save the heavy love stuff maybe for the next month or later in the month, because you got to sort through these things here first. They're really important cards: Hanged Man, Tower, Devil, and Justice. I feel like some of you might need to get out of something before you get into something. And definitely make sure, in the case of new love, because you might have this strong physical connection, but Justice and the Devil tell me that that person hasn't yet let go. So you need to either let go, or the other person needs to let go of the previous person, and just make sure that there's no complications. In existing relationships, again, making sure that you are being honest with each other. I really think that's the key thing. And then we have this angel flying or falling here. And there's a choice with the Tower. I think it's really a choice of timing. So this is saying get out when the time is right. Don't wait until this whole tower has crumbled. One of the cool things with being intuitive is sometimes you don't know how long it's going to take, but you may see something that's about to come to pass. And if you see it, you should do it. Like for me, when I was seeing what was going on in my career, I realized that I needed to make a change, but I got a vision that was going to come true like 6 years later. I kind of saw everything changing in the company based on what's going on in this pandemic right now. And I didn't want to be a part of that. I thought that looks really disruptive. I'd like to get myself set up. I'd like to do some other things. And it feels like this isn't going to be around in the long term. And it's not. Things changed. So you may see something that's going to be 6 or 10 or 15 years down the line. The universe is coming through because it's going to take some time for you to avoid that, for you to work. I didn't understand, but I do now, that I needed about 6 or 7 years to get myself in a firm place so that I would be okay. So at the time I was frustrated. I thought, I saw it. I felt it. Why isn't it happening? Why didn't it came true, but much, much later. There's no timeline sometimes on your intuitive downloads. Just know that if it comes through in a very clear way, then it's giving you what the universe thinks you need to prepare. So you could see this tower coming from a decade away sometimes. And the question is, are you going to stay there for those whole 10 years? Or are you going to get out before that and start to work on yourself? Don't wait for the tower to crumble. All right, let's go into the soul path and see what we can focus on here. I want to look at the Justice card first, because it really is that decision. What is maybe holding you back, or what is making you impatient? Let's look at the decision that you might be holding on to right now and figuring out, right? Okay, we have 2 of Pentacles. I really like the way that this one is illustrated. This is another balance card. You'll typically see the 2 of Pentacles kind of like, sometimes it's on a bicycle trying to balance things out. Sometimes it's a tightrope dancer. This one, we kind of see the energy between, this could either be the sun or the moon. It's the sun, I think. It's the sun and the earth here. So for you, a reminder, whenever I meditate, I like to imagine the Magician card, as above, so below, pulling from the firmament and also from the power and the energy of the earth. You're connected to both. That's really what that's about. And being the channel, and we can kind of see that here. So realize that you can harness all of this stuff. You are more than what you imagine you can be. You have to reach a little bit. The 2 of Pentacles is asking you to make some difficult decisions on what you're going to not do. 6 of Pentacles and 2 of Pentacles are about achieving balance with limited resources. The 2 is asking you to be even more discerning. The 6, you have more than enough. The 2, you have just enough. And so there's going to be some things that come through that you have to say no to. And so the decision could be that you have something sitting in front of you that feels like, gosh, that sounds really good, but I committed to this. So you have to look at your commitment and how serious you are with that commitment. If the commitment was bad to start with, this could be about dissolving that. If it's good and you're just tempted, this is about not stepping into that devil energy and voiding the contract. So you have to make a choice. You have to finish something or let something go so that you can approach something new. It's a tough decision in front of you. And then for the rest of you, this is about looking at the cost of doing something. So if you're working really hard, this often is work-life balance. Is your personal life taking a hit? Is your health taking a hit? If you're giving too much, what's going on with the reciprocity here? So you've got to find balance, and you can't do everything that you want to do, but you should do something that you really, really care about. So make sure that, the interesting thing on this one is we can actually, if you look close, you can see the stars overprinted over the sun and the earth here. So I would say, it's important for you to find your power, to find something that you're passionate about, and to allow that to kind of give you the vitality. This is a vitality card, to get up every morning and think, I can't wait to do this today. I can't wait. If you're getting up and thinking, oh my God, it's another work day. I can't wait for 6 o'clock. I can't wait for Friday, etc. I've been talking about this in a few signs, but it's important to change that cycle up so that you're not doing that anymore. Okay. So that's the Justice card. You have to make a tough decision and you can't do everything. As a kid, we think we can, but you can't as adults. You have to make some choices. So make a choice that you can really sit with, right? Let's look at the Tower. What's the change involving? What's going on with this? Six of Wands, interesting. Some of you are worried about what other people feel and think about what's going on. You're very worried about success. You're also worried about reception, public reception. So when it comes to making a decision that matters, you can't always get everyone to agree with you. In fact, if you are, I don't even know if it's possible to do the right thing, and you're never going to make everyone happy. I think it's really hard. There's always going to be dissenting points of view on this planet with other people. If you do something really well, you're going to expect the whole gamut of emotions. So for those of you that put art out there, whether it's paintings or music or writing, I'm sure or even if you're like an influencer and you put stuff out on videos and things like that, you're always going to get negative comments. Doesn't matter how good it is, how many hours you put into it, someone's always not going to like it. So the Six of Wands is saying you have what it takes to be successful. Don't put too much energy into a naysayer. They were having a bad day. They weren't connecting with you energetically. They weren't ready for the message that you were bringing. Whatever it is, Six of Wands is saying, it's just water off your back, right? And also saying that sometimes when you are really doing something different, then you can strike a different chord and all of a sudden you wake people up. So follow your heart, follow your light, and you're going to find your tribe by doing that, okay? And better to have like a small group that really cares about you than have a massive group, that likes something that you don't like. So keep your voice, keep your vision, and know that over time things will build. It takes a while to build a tower. So to build a new foundation is going to take time too. So can't rush through that. Okay, let's look at, I'm going to actually go through the tough cards. I'm not afraid to do that. I want to look at the Devil. So we looked at Justice, Tower, Devil, because I think those are the toughest ones. So normally I do a wild card, so I'll kind of combine the two on this one. Maybe sometimes if there's extra time at the end, we might have time. I'll pull one at the end, but let's look at, I just want to focus on the Devil reversed and just say, what can you do to liberate? Four of Wands. I talk about, I'm always fascinated, certain suits, the suit of Wands allows you to do less and do it better. I've been talking about this recently, and I think it's something I've just kind of discovered the more I've read cards. Like more isn't always better with Ten of Wands. With the suit of Wands, the Ten of Wands is okay because it shows that you're getting onto something else. But sometimes 9, 8, and 7 can be very distracting. 6 can also be sort of distracting. 5 is the only one that I want to avoid. But if you do a little bit less and do something that matters, you start to set up the strong foundations that you would get with the Four of Wands. This is about core friendships and core relationships. So these are the people that will be there no matter what. So, if you take a reputation hit, if something falls apart in your life and, you're not successful or whatever, these are the people that are not fair weather friends. So in the Six of Wands, we see some people that might just be like fanboy, fangirling, whatever's going on in your life. But when the rocky kind of weather hits, these are the people that stick around you, the Four of Wands. Best friends, family, people that unconditionally love you. This is where you should be focusing on investing in your life at this moment. And there is a friendship energy that comes through loud and clear. This can also be marriage, but it starts with a platonic and a reciprocating energy between the friends or the two of you. So going into a really solid, trusting friendship or relationship, if you can find that, you're rich beyond belief, because that's the hardest thing to really have at the end of the day. It's someone that you can lean on. If that can happen to also be your partner, your life partner, your lover, then that's amazing. But focusing on core relationships and friendships and building those, that should be what your focus is right now. And you don't have to make everyone happy. So if we were to just recap all of this, it's like a rubber band. There's only so far you can stretch. You have to figure out where you want to put the time and energy. I see success happening for you. It happened before, it can happen again. But focus on really reaching the people and doing the things that you need and want to do. Better to have a little less and have it be a little more valuable than to have a lot and have it be meaningless. I think that'll help you out a lot with life in general. The Four of Wands is a nice one to end on when we're looking at the soul path, because that could show a deep friendship. Maybe it could grow to more because there is the potential with the Four of Wands, but it's friendship first and foremost. Okay. Let's go ahead and go into our meditation. Before I do that real quick, I'd like to remind everybody that's here, please hit like and subscribe. It helps a lot. And if it's your first time here and you want to see future videos from me, sometimes people don't know how to find me again. I had a comment on that. So don't forget, it doesn't cost anything. I wish it just said follow instead of subscribe, because it feels like you have to pay. You don't have to hit the subscribe button. I want to thank everybody that's become a member or hit the super sticker or super chat. It means a lot. And before we do the meditation, one last note, I'd love for you to follow me on social media. This will be a great way to remember when I have a live reading. And so it's at Nicholas Ashbaugh on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, really most major platforms. And then I'm at Ashbaugh on Twitter. So thank you for everybody that follows me there. Okay, let's go ahead now and meditate. And with this meditation, I want to focus on finding balance and then feeling like things are getting a little bit lighter in your life, right? So just close your eyes. This only takes about 2 minutes, and then I'm going to pull one card afterwards for the month ahead and just see if there's one for the road. Usually this would show you what's coming through for the next week or so whenever you watch this, and really how to overcome any of the blocks in your life. So please close your eyes and see yourself at the top of a mountain or top of a hill if you're kind of afraid of heights, and just looking out at the horizon around you, looking at how far you've come, imagining that it's kind of like the Ten of Wands. You've climbed the tough part of this journey, and now you're getting perspective on what's in front of you and what's behind you. And if you had, for some reason, closed your eyes at some point in the journey, this is your chance to open them and to see everything that's there. Take a deep breath with me and reach up. Imagine that you could reach up and touch the moon or touch the stars or touch the sun, whatever light source you want. Close your eyes, really reach up, and imagine that you could hold that energy in your hands. And if you want to, symbolically, if it's the sun or the moon, you can imagine that you're bringing that light source down, and you're going to move it through your body, and you're going to allow yourself to be cleared out energetically. In Reiki, you actually can do something where you kind of scan the body. So with this, imagine that you're taking that light source and moving it around, and just hold it if you feel a little bit of tension or energy at any part of your body. You can move this all the way through your body from head to toe. And imagine that as you're doing this, you're clearing out old it's kind of like a ship that gets barnacles, these sort of layers of energy that we're holding on to, or attachments that other people have pushed onto us. You're clearing that out, you're dismantling that, you're getting back to the source of who you are. And then when you're done, you can just pull the energy into your heart or to your solar plexus, since it's the sun, and feel that you are starting now to grow from within. It's almost like a candle that has been lit. All of a sudden, your light is starting to shine. And I want you to think of something in your life that you want to breathe this newfound energy or fire into. So we're going to kind of go into dragon-like energy, if you will, where you're going to be this beautiful, creative energy that can, breathe life or breathe fire into something. So maybe it's a new dream in your life that you want to, go back to school, try a different career, build a house, find the love of your life, whatever it is that you're trying to do. Know that the power starts within, especially if you're looking for external love. You have to love yourself. But see yourself now as strong, bright, and capable of forging that, creating that. You don't have to necessarily lean or depend on someone else. And your light is shining so brightly that if there is devil energy around you, it's going to dissipate. It's going to disappear because it sees now that you can see through it. So as I play the singing bowl here, I want you to see yourself kind of rising up like a phoenix, but you're a dragon, deciding where you want to fly, what you want to do next with this newfound power. Take a nice deep breath. And on the exhale, I want you to imagine that you could just glide through the sky on your wings, seeing the beautiful opportunities around you, seeing the horizon, seeing all the elements of the earth, and gently find your way back to your body, bringing into your physical body this spiritual growth that you've just experienced, the ability to spread your wings, to breathe fire into things, to breathe life into things, and to claim your rightful place at the table, your own power that you've always had. Sometimes we have people in our life that don't want to see that or have a difficult time existing within that light or that power. This is your time to say, no, I've earned this place at the table. I'm ready now to do something amazing. Keep your eyes closed for a second. I'm going to pull one final card, and then we'll wrap everything up here in a second. All right, it's time for transformation. You can open your eyes. We have a kind of playful death card here, a skeleton dancing around here. But notice what the skeleton has. He's holding a key here, right? And there's a light at the end of the tunnel. What a nice metaphor for the past 15 months or so that we've been working through. It's a period of change and transformation. You always have the key to make that change happen. And so this particular death card is reminding you of the importance of moving through transformation, keeping your eyes open, looking for the light, and moving towards that light. So transformation is a good thing. You got all the transformation, well, not all of them, but you got a couple of big transformation cards here. I think for you, the transformation begins with the decision that I'm ready, this is going to happen, etc. Then moving through the sort of the fallout that happens sometimes when we declare a decision, and then embracing it and moving to the brightness of tomorrow, coming through with a different version of yourself. So I'm excited about that. I think that's a really nice card to end on. I saw a question here about being able to contribute. That's a really nice segue. If you'd like to give back, you can go to my website. I have a couple of addresses here, but I know sometimes people want to do a PayPal. So if you want to do PayPal, you can do that. Maria just posted a link for Patreon. So PayPal is one way, Patreon is another. And then the rest of it is actually on my website. There's a bunch of options to give back. So you can take a look on my website. Let me just walk through some of the other things here, just little housekeeping messages. If you happen to be watching this on replay, basically once it's live, it's replayable, you can click the applaud button. And that's a really nice way to just give back in the moment. The other way, like I said, is PayPal. I put the address up for that. All of these addresses are on my website, which is pinned. Dakota put that comment up earlier. PayPal again, paypal.me/Nicholas Ashbaugh. And you saw a few people become channel members today. So thank you to the folks that did that. You just click the join button. And as you saw, like I think there was one person earlier that you can join and then stop and then rejoin. It's not like you're stuck in it forever. Just like Patreon, you can decide to do it for a little bit. For all of you that did super chats and super stickers, I appreciate it. One last time here, if you'd like to connect with me on social media, I'd love for you to do that. It's usually at Nicholas Ashbaugh. The only difference is Twitter, which is @Ashbaugh. And I always post reminders on those social media platforms. And also, if you are a fan of fantasy books and science fiction, especially like Lord of the Rings, this will take a little bit of reading. When I was a kid, I didn't mind reading a book like Lord of the Rings or Dune. So it's a little bit heavier in that energy, but it's great for people that like to read from the perspective of a psychic. So you can see a free sample on Amazon and on Google Play. So read the first chapter or two and see if you like it. And if you do, you can continue it. So there are some free samples on Amazon and on Google Play, and I think even Apple books. So you can get a free chapter and see if you like it, and then pick it up. But that's another way to give back, and then you get something too. All right. So thank you so much. My moderators here just put the link. So thank you, Dakota and Maria. That is everything. One last thing though, I am going to be doing, this is a new sort of feature. On the 28th, I'm going to do a collective reading. I'm still deciding what I want to do for that. So I'm just going to say the 28th of February, same time, 9 a.m. Pacific. I'll be doing a collective reading. I'd love for you to join me. And as I said earlier, you're welcome to come to any of these monthly ones if you feel like you need a message. So thank you so much. Take care of yourselves. I will be back tomorrow. Let's see, I did Cancer today. I'll be doing Leo on Friday, and you can look at the rest of the schedule on my website. All right. Have a great one, everyone. Be kind to yourselves, and move through this change and try to have some fun with it. I see some good things in front of you. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, as we see with this card. Okay. Talk to you soon. Thank you.